I'm sitting in my kitchen, and I feel my face flush as I consider what I'm about to do. Over the course of a handful of years, this is probably the 6th or 7th time I've done this. I pull up the App Store screen on my phone and type in the word that makes me cringe, but feel an odd sense of exhilaration at the same time. The familiar yellow-orange logo appears, and I hit download now to install Grindr back onto my phone, trying to convince myself that this time will be different. With my Grindr profile almost complete, I start thinking about what's next, the fun part, chatting with men. But before doing that, I know I have to fill in the field that describes my body type. My choices are this: toned, I love the way that sounds. Average, totally depresses me. Slim is a possibility, or muscular, but despite my repeated efforts, I am not muscular. Or I can choose to leave it blank, but in terms of dealing with gay men, it is not an option. They want to know. After sweating it out for a solid 2 minutes, I go with slim. I ignore, at least for now, the 2 bonus fields of what I'm looking for and my tribes, which includes a list of descriptive terms like bear, daddy, leather, otter, pause, rugged, trans, and twink. The terms make my head spin. I choose a photo of a thin, semi-hairless, shirtless man off of the internet and crop it accordingly to use as my own profile picture. I'm too embarrassed to show my chest, with its flaws and lack of definition, and showing my face is simply out of the question. I get to the relationship status and I pause. I know I will limit myself by saying the truth and showing married. But I don't want to lie and say single either. I choose partnered and prepare for the influx of inquiries into 3-ways, something I don't do. I hit save changes and start to scroll down the page of men's profiles, blocking out anyone that I know, neighbors, ex-customers of mine, and of course, my own husband. We don't have secrets, but I'd rather he not know that I'm back at it. My husband Jeff and I met 18 years ago. I fell for him quickly. We went on romantic dates and ate and drank our way through New York City. On these dates, when I'd inexplicably dissolve into tears, Jeff would take my hand and smile reassuringly. Later, when I became irrational and even more short-tempered than usual, he stopped me in my tracks, took my hand again, and told me he thought I needed to see someone. I knew what he meant. Once my panic attacks were under control, thanks to a cocktail of anti-anxiety meds, I started to unravel even further. By the time we hit our first decade together, we were on our way to claiming defeat. Jeff had become my family, and that word was now taboo for me. Having to recall the sexual abuse that I suffered as a young boy was bad enough. Having to come to terms with the fact that my own father had done those things seemed unfathomable and impossible for me to hold. I could no longer bear to see Jeff walk around the house with his shirt off. Sometimes his body in bed next to mine was enough to cause me to descend into panic. I had to ask that he change his brand of deodorant because that smell was my father's smell. And on some of my worst nights, I'd have to wake him convinced that someone was in our house coming to get me. Numbing myself into a blackout stupor became my way of daily existence. In the mornings, I'd wake up on the sofa, hungover and nauseated. I'd be able to tell by the look on his face that we had had a fight, but the details escaped me. On one of those nights, I lost track of how many pills I took, but he found the kindness to take my hand and me to the emergency room. When we found ourselves sitting in front of a couples therapist, despite his complete frustration, he still found it in his heart to hold my hand as I sobbed and said I wasn't sure that I could keep at it, be it being our relationship as well as my own life. Over time, we slowly and patiently charted a new course for what our union meant to us. We felt unburdened by the pressures of what society considers traditional, and we carefully set out to live our lives together with an honesty that had been foreign to both of us. Now, I've just downloaded this stupid app and I'm already tripped up. Fuck. A new message pops up from a young guy who says he's 22. It reads, "What are you into?" I hate this question, Because if I'm going to be honest, I'm uncertain myself. Plus, I'm already feeling dismissive because he's just too young. I type back a simple response. Sorry, not into younger guys. But he responds immediately. Aw, come on, I'm looking for a daddy. I stare at my phone and I feel my face get hot. Then I start to pace. At certain times, I've been able to laugh the scenario off. But today I'm feeling vulnerable, as can happen to people like me. My nerves are raw enough that I dissociate as I imagine what would happen if I wrote back what was really on my mind. If those words were to emerge in the form of a response, they'd do something like this. Hey buddy, you've just reminded me that I probably don't belong on Grindr, but would you like to know why? I'm going to tell you anyway. I was sexually abused as a young boy, and that abuse continued for many, many years. But here's the tricky part. The man that did that to me was my father, or as I called him back then, Daddy. My mind fills with shoulds. I should have this figured out by now. I should know exactly what I find erotic and not get pulled back into what happened. I should be able to see my own husband now as I did 18 years ago when my panic and anxiety and addiction kept me from acknowledging the truth of my past. I should feel normal. I should be able to fit into the gay community, but I don't. Clarity and acceptance has taken something from me, and I'm left to deal with the truth. The truth that I still get triggered, the truth that I struggle to fit in, and the truth that despite all of this, I'm still alive. I fantasize about how much easier life was when I was able to numb out with endless quantities of gin. I could send inappropriate texts, chat on Grindr, make overtures, and come across as a man who knew exactly what he wanted. In a blacked out state of mind, I was a real Casanova. But my days of numbing myself with alcohol are over. I'm not there now, I'm here, and something has triggered me. Owning it in plain terms helps to ground me. I know what I need to do. As I hold my finger on the Grindr app, it asks me if I'm sure. That by deleting it, I will also delete all of its data. Yes, I'm sure. I hit the little X and it disappears from my phone. So I switch to Pandora, and I put on my Rufus and Chaka Khan station. I pull out the flour, the sugar, the eggs, the butter, and I get to work. It's Friday night, and I'm going to make my husband a cake. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make 2 cakes, just in case one of them doesn't turn out that great. I'm a man who likes to have a plan with an extra backup just in case.